Hi, welcome to Hire a mergebot for your team, or webinar about DevOps. Let me first introduce myself. I'm Pablo Santos. I'm the CTO and founder here at Plastic SCM. The easiest way to understand how a mergebot works is actually to see it in action in a demo, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll jump to Plastic and see how it works. Okay, let me show you something. This is my branch explorer from my repository, and I have a branch here called Quake 151 where I just made a fix, right? And the next thing I'm going to do is to switch the status to done. Okay, I confirm that, and then a few things are going to happen. Let me refresh the status. It just moved to testing. Why? What's going on? Okay, the mergebot actually detected that the branch is ready to be merged because the status was in done, and then it started actually running the test and making sure it can be merged. So just after a few seconds, the branch has been merged. This is the job of a mergebot. How is it possible? What is going on? Okay, if I go to the web admin in my local server, which is the one I'm using for this demo, I have a mergebot configured. We call it vendor-bot. It's a Trunkbot, so it basically monitors the repository, finds task branches, and merges them back to main if some conditions are met. The mergebot has been doing its job today, and it actually merged 5 branches. And it is connected to Jenkins, Jira, and notifying by email. But I'll cover that a little bit later. So let me just click on this. This is the dashboard for the DevOps in admin, in web admin, and you can have one or several mergebots. Just let me check what this bot did today. So I click there and it shows me the activity. Okay, it was basically a stop till today because I just configured it before the demo. So let me show you something. It's telling me it actually processed 5 branches today. And the last one it processed was this one, which is the merge you just seen a few seconds ago. Let's now see what this vendor-bot it's all about. So I'll click on configure to show you how it's configured. Every mergebot has different configuration needs, let's say, but they have several things in common. Well, they all have a name, and we normally like to give it like robot names from movies or cartoons or something like that. Then it's configured to work with a server. In my case, it's the local server I'm using for the demo. It's monitoring a repository. Depending on the bot, this could be just like a star or something to actually work on all possible repositories. You tell it a trunk branch because it's basically about, okay, where I have to merge my branches from, and then it will only consider the branches that have a certain prefix. That can be configured, of course, but in my case, I use this Quake thing. And then you have to specify a user you want the bot to use, right? So when the bot checks in a merge or does a merge, he will be using that user. In fact, if I go back to Plastic and I click on here and the properties, you see the owner of this checking is the vendor bot itself, right? That's this user. And then there's some advanced configuration that is needed. In my case, I'm saying, okay, in order to check which branches you have to merge, use the status attribute. As you've seen here, I have a status attribute set, created and set. Then you tell it, okay, what is the status you have to use as entry point for a branch? I mean, when a branch reaches a certain status, then you can use it to actually try to merge it. In my case, it was a dam. And then when you are testing the branch, just change the status. That's optional. You can just remove it and then the status won't be changed, but sometimes it's useful. What happens if the build fails, and also what happens once it's done, right? In my case, if I check the attribute right now, as you can see, it's set to merge. Okay, I'll skip the issue tracker for now because I'll be on that later, but I have a configuration with the CI system. I'm using a Jenkins. I'm running a specific plan. So basically, when the mergebot detects that a branch is ready to be merged, it's on a certain status, it will merge this to main into a shelf. So it's not the merge is not confirmed yet. I mean, this change that's not created yet. Then sends that shelf to the Jenkins waits for it to actually build and run the merges and so on, and if everything goes fine, then it confirms the merge. That's exactly what mergebots do. Okay, just a reminder before I move forward, we have a chat available during the webinar, so feel free to ask any questions. We'll be more than happy to answer, and that's the entire purpose of the webinar, right? To interact with you. Let's go back to the web admin and into the configuration section. You see we have mergebot types and we also have plug types. Okay, mergebot types are the types of bots you can have. At this point, when I'm doing this recording, we just released the first version and we only have a Trunkbot. We'll be adding more in the coming weeks, right? And basically a Trunkbot, what it does is each task branch is built, tested, and merge it back to the main branch. You can click on learn more, and then you see a full explanation of what's going on. And basically what I described before. When the branch is ready, it's merged into a shelf. This shelf is tested, as I said, and then if everything goes fine, it will be confirmed, as you've seen in action already. I'm going back to the dashboard, and then I'll show you a little bit of the plugs. I'm skipping the Jira connection yet, but I'm showing you a little bit of the Jenkins configuration. So let me click on configure, and then that's basically the settings we are using, right? Basically, this is just a specific configuration for a plug, and a plug is just a connector that lets mergebots interact with other systems, in this case with Jenkins. And well, I just gave it a name and just configured the access, basically setting a user and password to access my Jira server. And that's all it needs, because from there the mergebot will actually run a specific plan. Let's go back to Plastic, and now let's try something else. I'm going to create a new branch, and then I also show you the integration with Jira that most of you already know. Well, basically it's showing me the task branches that I have associated, the tasks I have, and the Plastic is able to create a branch for it, a task branch for it immediately. I can just see the ones I have assigned to myself, or I can even display all the possible branches, and there are many that are not assigned yet or assigned to someone else. I'll just take one of them, and I'm going to use this file system watcher thing. So I'm creating a branch for it, and well, basically it creates the name of the branch for me, and there's a connection in here in the branch explorer and some other places where you see it's connected to Jira. So the next thing I'm going to do is simple. I'll just jump and make a change on a file and checking on this branch. So here we go. I'm going to the Workspace Explorer, and I'll just take a file and make a modification. I'm not starting Visual Studio as an IDE, just as an editor. I'm not even opening a solution or anything. And all I'm doing is moving a method down. You know, Plastic can do semantic diff and semantic diff, and I'll just make a modification, moving the method down, and then I'll add a comment before we create. Okay, let's go back to Plastic. Let's go to pending changes. Let's refresh it, and let's do the first checking. I'm going to diff it. Okay, you see, okay, let's go semantic. You see the method that's being moved down. In fact, the visual diff shows that too. Okay, show and change it. It will show that the method was moved all the way down. Okay, let's go back to the regular diff. You can put it side by side. Well, all the usual things you are familiar with if you're using Plastic. So we're checking that. Now I'm going to go to the Branch Explorer and change the status for the attribute. So I'll just set an attribute for the branch as I did before. Status, and the value is going to be done. Now something different is going to happen. I'm going to refresh, and it stays in down. Why is this happening? Because I modified the mergebot to actually link the branch to Jira. Let me show you a little bit more of that. Okay, let me show you the configuration of the mergebot because I changed it. So it will behave slightly different, right? Okay, now we have an issue tracker integration, and in this issue tracker integration we are using a plug called Jira Online. There's a project key, then we configure what's the summary field. We also configure some other things like what's the status field, which is called status, and then we say, okay, only get the branch if the associated Jira is in validated state. Otherwise, if the status is not validated, just ignore it. Why we do that? Because, okay, it's perfectly fine to trigger the entire DevOps cycle just with attributes. As I said at the beginning, that's perfectly fine. But sometimes it's better for the team to actually do these status changes, let's say, in the Jira side of things. And when that happens, well, you can add some other statuses on a more comfortable or familiar way. Like in our case, for instance, generally we move a task from done to review to then validate it when someone just tested the task manually and so on, right? So that's basically what we are implementing with Jira here. So okay, let's go back to Plastic, and I'm going to open this this Jira ticket associated to this task. All I have to do is just double click here, and then Jira opens up. And then what I'm going to do is simulate development cycle, right? So this the task is in open status at this point. So I'm going to move it to, well, in progress. After in progress, it could be to resolved. After resolved, someone could just reopen it if the review, after being resolved, what we normally recommend for users, and a lot of teams do that, in fact, is, okay, review and validation. So we created a workflow in Jira with a review and validation. It can be that when you are reviewing, you have to reopen. That's why you have to status changes in here, or it simply goes to review it. So let's move it to review it. And after that, we like to do like a manual validation, which is someone gets in the case of Plastic, someone gets the code, builds it, tests it manually, and so on, right? So we are reproducing the same cycle here, which of course can be customized in your case. So I'll move it to validate it, and now the task should be ready to start testing and run it and be merged. Okay, while I was talking, something happened. Let's go back to Plastic. Hey, the branch is now merged, right? So we are in the situation where, okay, the work was done by the mergebot. The task was finally tested and merged, and okay, that's what it is about. The main difference between this cycle and the previous one is that now the task is only merged if a certain status is reached in the associated Jira task. There's one more thing I would like to show you before finishing today, and it's the added merge power we just integrated into the Plastic server. Okay, you see how now Plastic can merge through the mergebots, can merge automatically the branches back from you without manual intervention if there are no conflicts, and we can cover how to handle those conflicts later. But let me show you something. Remember, okay, no need to remember, I can just diff it. So I'll diff the branch, and you see I modified the read-only.fs file in here, and I moved the method down and actually modified. Okay, let's do something. Instead of starting from here, I'm going to start from the same chain set where I created my previous branch, and I'm going to create a new branch for it. I'll again use the Jira connection, which is very handy for this. So I'll create a task number 9 this time. And then I'm going to go to the same file and make another modification in parallel. Well, Visual Studio warns because it was just open with the old version. Well, if I remember correctly, what I modified was the create file method, and remember that it was actually modified and moved down, right? I'm going to create another change in here, like add a second comment in the original location. Okay, that's a simple change. So close the file, go back to Plastic, go to pending changes, refresh, and then my change is there. So second change in second branch. Okay, good to go. I'm going to start moving the branch forward, right? So first thing is setting the attribute. So I'm going to apply the attribute set to status down. Okay, then the next thing, I'm going to open up the Jira. Here we go, and then I'll move the task into validated. Of course, this will need interaction from the whole thing, from the entire team, but I'm just simulating this for the demo. So move to reviewed and then move to validated. What I want to show you is how this merge that was typically manual, will require manual intervention, is going to be merged automatically by Plastic. Let me refresh it, and here it goes. How it was possible? And that's the last thing we added into this mergebot project. The thing is that the mergebot is making use of the semantic merge capabilities built into the Plastic server. So Plastic server is able to merge the code correctly, even if it has a semantic conflict. So our semantic technology that was normally accessible only through the diff is now into the server in order to solve merges. And just let's do a diff, and you'll see how the code was moved down, which is basically what the previous branch that was integrated did, plus the comment has been added into the right location. So if we diff this and this too, you'll see that the method was moved down, but the change was applied correctly into the right location. And that's basically the magic that semantic merge can do for Plastic. And it's all included into the new mergebot technology, right? Well, actually the merge 2 technology that we put into the Plastic server, and that it is extensively used by mergebots. Well, and that's all for today. If you have any questions right now, we are in the chat, so whatever, I mean, if you are free to ask, and just let us know what you think, or we can solve any doubts you may have. Otherwise, I'm always available for you at my email that you can read there in the slide. So that's basically it, right? That's what we've been working on for the past few months. That's our understanding of how a DevOps cycle should be. That's how we understand we can really improve and help teams doing DevOps and continuous integration with Plastic SCM, task branches, trunk-based development, or even customize the cycle to the workflow to whatever you need. So we are super happy about this new functionality, about these projects, about how it looks like. Of course, it will be continue. I mean, it will continue improving in the coming releases. And anything you need, please just go ahead. We are in the chat. Thank you very much.